Hi, I'm Jason Whitlock. Cowherd is out today. The absolute wrong team drafted Louisville quarterback Lamar Jackson. The 2016 Heisman Trophy winner would be better off sitting in an NFL draft green room right now, waiting on the New England Patriots to select him at the end of the second round, rather than flying to Baltimore for an introductory press conference. That's the story from day one of the NFL draft that the media won't tell you. Last night, the Baltimore Ravens put a bow on the first round of the 2018 draft, trading for the last pick and using it to select Jackson. The move was celebrated on TV and across the internet as if civil rights icon Meek Mill had been released from prison again. Deion Sanders profusely thanked Ravens general manager Ozzie Newsome.
Ozzie, man, I love you, man. Ozzie, you know I love you. I appreciate you, man.
ESPN's Damian Woody tweeted that Newsome had done one last good deed. Jackson's selection was treated as a feel-good moment, like a sick kid scoring a touchdown at a college spring game. On a night when 63% of the players drafted would be black or brown, Jackson's selection at 32 was framed as a step toward racial justice. How? Why? Give me a second to get into character. Oh, I say, and I say it again. You've been had, you've been took, you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok. Since 1999, when Donovan McNabb, Achilles Smith, and Dante Culpepper all went in the first round, the NFL has shown no fear of drafting black quarterbacks high. Since 2007, 3 black quarterbacks, Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, Jamarcus Russell, have all gone number 1. In 2013, the first 2 quarterbacks drafted were black. The narrative that the NFL is seething with racial animus and unfairness is hogwash. It's fake news propagated by people who want to destroy football. And as it relates to Lamar Jackson, it's a narrative that conceals the fact the Ravens were quite possibly the worst team to select him. Ozzie Newsome is on his way out after this season, which means Baltimore's new boss, Eric DeCosta, can easily distance himself from Lamar Jackson. Have you ever worked for a boss who didn't hire you? It's a real adventure. New bosses like to hire their own people. You know which head coach is on the hottest seat in football? John Harbaugh. The Ravens have missed the playoffs the last 3 years. Baltimore owner Steve Bisciotti said in February he considered firing Harbaugh this offseason. By the end of this year, Lamar Jackson will have a new general manager and could have a new head coach. He could have 2 new bosses. 2 new bosses is twice as bad as 1 new boss. But when social media is leading you around by foolishly stoking your racial emotions, you often miss what's logically obvious. Going in the first round is irrelevant to Lamar Jackson's success. Landing with the right franchise should have been the priority. No one develops quarterbacks better than Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. From Tom Brady to Matt Castle to Jacoby Brissett to Jimmy Garoppolo, the Patriots max out their QBs. The Saints and the Steelers also were far better fits for Jackson. Jackson's supporters should have been rooting for where far more than when. All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself. Joining me now are Seth Joyner, Rob Ryan, former NFL coach, former NFL player, and Steve Clarkson, my good friend and a quarterback guru. Friends, knows Lamar Jackson, has worked with him. All right, someone tell me what I got wrong here, because I just think we're celebrating the wrong thing, sending the wrong message about the NFL. What happened to Lamar Jackson wasn't some great thing for social justice, and there was no crime done because he went at the end of the first round. I don't get it.
There's not very many things we agree on. And that's a good thing sometimes. But I agree with you here, because the whole first round thing, I think that everybody's been out of shape because you got a former Heisman Trophy winner, a dynamic guy who can play quarterback in this league, and everyone, all the talking heads said, he needs to move to wide receiver. And then for him to just continue to fall, because I think the teams really thought that somewhere along the way, maybe at 15, Arizona would have took him. New England moved and made a trade. New Orleans moved up, but before there was a lot of talk
Arizona moved
there was a lot of talk
Rosen.
that Arizona was going to take him. Then New England moves into the 23rd position, and all the hype and all the talk that he might wind up in New England. And when he gets to the end of the first round, everybody's like, I cannot believe that a Heisman Trophy winner is not going to be drafted in the first round. That being said,
Danny Warfel, I mean,
all of that nonsense I really don't care about. What I care about is the long-term success of Lamar Jackson. And in my opinion, the long-term success for Lamar Jackson would have been for him to go to New England. Let me ask you a question. How many quarterbacks in the 22-year history of the Baltimore Ravens have they developed? One. They drafted Joe Flacco, and they developed him. If you go back and you look at all the quarterbacks throughout their history, they haven't developed a single one besides him. This is not the ideal position for him to be in. He needs to be sitting behind a Tom Brady.
Not a guy fighting for his job for the rest of his career.
Absolutely. A Bill Belichick, you got an offensive coordinator, who can bring you along, who's proven it. He's, developed quarterbacks before. That would have been the ideal situation. But with all that being said, at the end of the day, okay, if the head coach might be on the hot seat and the GM is on his way out, hey, it might all work out in the end. And he just might wind up in New England.
I might lose 50 pounds next week.
Here's the thing. It is an NFL draft, so you don't get to pick, I'm gonna go to the Patriots. Well, every quarterback would want to do that and work with Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick. Here's the thing with this guy, all right? He could come in and be playing for a new boss next year. Remember Randall Cunningham? This is the Randall Cunningham of this version, all right? He got Buddy Ryan, all right? Did a great job with him. Actually took Jaworski out after first and second down and put Cunningham in on third down only. Crazy. But end up being a star. So you can't really pick where you go. But I think Ozzie drafted a kid in the first round, trying to hit a home run for the franchise on his way out the door. This guy's a special talent. I can't wait to see him play because he could be special.
To that point, I have a big problem with what you said. Nobody was hoodwinked here, first and foremost. I think as I watched this draft with my young son, Pierce, who is an aspiring quarterback. In 1983, I came out in the best NFL draft ever. Then it was 12 rounds. Many thought I would get drafted somewhere in the second and third round. I went 12 rounds, never heard my name. And that was painful to watch. Last night, I'm sitting there with my son, and we're sitting there watching Lamar Jackson slide. And we're saying, is this going to happen again? So I felt like that was reliving what happened to me back in 1983. We're not talking about Akili Smith and Donovan McNabb and all these guys. This guy has a transcendent skill set that nobody else has ever seen before. He brought this to the table. At some point, you have to say to yourself as a coach, and that's what I've done for a living, when is it my job to get these guys better? I don't need to have the same sandwich every time. I got this guy that has this unique skill set. I can integrate him and create things around his skill set and come up with something that's quite dynamic. Would Mike Vick have been the top pick of this year's draft if he'd come out? This is the closest kid that we've seen to Mike Vick since then.
Well, hold on. So you think things have moved backwards since Mike Vick?
I think that where people need to do is trust themselves and their ability to get the best out of the young men that they have. If you have this kid, his skill set you can't teach. It doesn't come around. That's a skill set that you want to see yourself moving forward with, that you can help your organization do things differently. Yeah.
Steve, you and I are friends, and I know your story well. Great player at San Jose State, beat the high majors, and people thought, at the end of that 83 draft, people said, okay, after Marino, Steve Clarkson's next. And then he never gets drafted. I get that. But it's not 1983 anymore. It's 2018. And in the last 10 years, we've had 4 black quarterbacks be the first quarterbacks off the board. You can't pretend like nothing has changed from 83 to now.
I'm not arguing black quarterback. I'm arguing a skill set that is unique. That's what I'm arguing.
We've seen it from Randall Cunningham.
You have not seen. Look, I know Randall Cunningham. When I didn't get drafted,
Rob.
he was the first person to call me, and I said he wanted to know what his fate was. I remember telling him, people don't realize this. Randall Cunningham was the best punter in America. Okay, and I remember having that conversation with him. I said, look, you're not going to have the same fate as me because nobody can deny you. You punt the ball 62 yards, on average. So they're going to take you for that alone. Lamar Jackson brings something that we haven't seen since Mike Vick, and I think he's a better passer coming out of it. That's it.
I think he's a better football player than people want to give him credit for. They've knocked him down to.
He just went 32.
How
much credit did he need?
Because there's four other guys. Because there's four other guys, in my opinion, three of those four that I believe that aren't as good as he is. I think Baker Mayfield fell right where he was supposed to. When I look at Lamar Jackson and his unique skill set, all it takes is for someone to be able to want to take that skill set and develop it. See, that's the problem with
Baltimore just went up and got him.
I understand that, but he's at 32.
Is that an insult? Where did you go?
Hey, listen.
Would you have taken
32?
32?
I didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem going in the 8th round.
Would you have taken 32?
I would have taken him at 15. I would have taken him at 14.
No, I'm talking about if you had been drafted 32, how is that an insult?
Let me tell you something. It's not an insult because he has the opportunity to prove himself. Regardless of what the motivations were for taking him, he has an opportunity to prove himself. I didn't get that opportunity. So from that, I applaud the Baltimore Ravens for giving him that shot, but more importantly, they don't need a pity party. They went out there and said, we are going to make and develop this young man because we believe that what we were doing right now won't get us to the next millennium. We need a game changer.
They went and got a great kid who they can work and do magic with. Look, the quarterback coach out there has worked with Colin Kaepernick, who wasn't, the most, he was a little awkward, in his, way he did things. This kid's going to be a great player and a great talent. Ozzie Newsome went out to do the right thing. Could there be better places for him? Well, I'm sure there is, but I'm sure there's a lot better places for all the other guys picked too.
My fear is when you see these spread quarterbacks that come into the NFL, it's very few coaching staffs, offensive coordinators that take these guys and demand that they develop as an NFL pro quarterback. What they do is they take the offense that they ran in college and they implement bits and pieces of it at the pro level. And after 2 years, the defenses start to catch up because they always do. And once they catch up, then it's all he can't play. No, you didn't develop him. That's the problem. Develop his skill set the same way that you would develop any pocket passer and make him stand in the pocket, make him learn how to throw the ball on time, make him learn how to 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drop it, make him understand and know what protections and all of those things are.
As soon as you try to do that, though, Seth.
Get fired. Yeah. That's the thing. And that's, I understand, hey, everybody should develop everybody they got, but the truth of the matter is everybody's in a win-now mode. So what can the kid do best? Hey, let's put it in there and let's do it. That's what it is. That's just the truth.
This is the last thing we got to go.
That's just the truth, Seth.
No, I understand.
We got to go. But I'll just say this, Seth. What happens, though, there's so much media pressure on Lamar Jackson. There's already stories. He can change the NFL. The media's not putting pressure on him to develop the way that Brady and some of the other quarterbacks did. They want him to change the NFL. And that means they want a coach to change the way they coach in the NFL. And they're risk adverse because there's too much money and they get fired too easily. So I just think the media does Lamar Jackson and quarterbacks with unique skill sets a disservice. There's a new boss in town at Buffalo Wild Wings, and he deals in bacon. It's the Bacon Boss Burger, featuring bacon 3 different ways and a blanket of white cheese sauce. And he's joined by other new favorites like the smothered cheesesteak quesadilla, sweet chili shrimp, and Alaska cod classic. All pair perfectly with a Sam 76, a fruity ale with the crisp finish of a lager. Hurry in today and try them all before they're gone at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports, available for a limited time while supplies last. Please drink responsibly. All right, to the team that didn't go with a quarterback last night, the Giants, who took my advice and selected Penn State running back Saquon Barkley with the number 2 pick instead of taking USC quarterback Sam Darnold. A lot of Giants fans wanted Darnold in New York, but that wish might have backfired on them. He went to the Jets at number 3. Listen, I don't have a problem with this because I said it yesterday. If the Giants draft board didn't value Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Josh Rosen, go with your draft board. If Saquon Barkley is who you have as the best player on the board, take him if you don't believe in any of these quarterbacks. If you believed in Sam Darnold, take him. I don't have a problem with them. And if Sam Darnold goes on to be the greatest quarterback in NFL history, they're just going to have to live with it, but I wouldn't apologize for it.
The entire first round, to me, was just chaotic because there was a lot of picks that happened that, the gurus didn't foresee happening. I'm still old school in my thinking. I still think that, every quarterback's best friend is a great running game. And I don't care how much they throw the ball, how much the league changes and evolves, how much is a quarterback-driven league. That's just my opinion. And I think these teams have to go and get the player that they feel fits what they do best. Now, Dave Gettleman said, hey, Eli's got a couple more good years in him. If we help him, he's got a couple more good years. And if that's how you feel, then you have to go get that transcendent player in Saquon Barkley. You have to do that.
Yeah,
Great move.
I think they did a great job there. Look, they got the new coach, the new GM. Their backup quarterback's this guy named Davis Webb, and he just beat out Baker Mayfield at Texas Tech. So everybody forgets that. There's a reason why that kid transferred. It's because this kid beat him out. So maybe this Davis Webb
coach was stupid.
has, or this Davis Webb has a little bit of talent. Maybe so.
Little bit.
But the nice thing is they get this running back, and that's got to help them. I mean, my God, that's going to help their whole team.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, by far and away, was the best player in this draft, and it was a position of need. So there was no way that you could pass up on him. General managers get fired for making decisions like this. This was a no-brainer, in my opinion. Saquon Barkley, you got Eli Manning for at least another 3-4 years. If he has help, this certainly helps their cause. No problem whatsoever.
Steve, I heard you say before the show you thought Cleveland should have drafted Saquon Barkley.
Absolutely. Again, going back, the best football player in America, by far, Saquon Barkley. You go the Cleveland Browns, because it seemed to me that they were all hung up on Josh Allen until whatever the tweets were that came out. If you were that hung up on Josh Allen and he was your number one guy, then you stick to that. But you take Saquon Barkley and you live with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, or Josh Allen at number 4. But you don't pass up Jim Brown. You just don't.
You think Saquon Barkley is Jim Brown?
I certainly do.
All right, welcome back. Seth Joyner, Rob Ryan, and Steve Clarkson are back. Let's talk some more football. The NFL draft kicked off last night with Heisman winner and noted crotch grabber Baker Mayfield going number 1 overall to the Browns. That story sounds kind of familiar. It should. In 2014, the Browns took another controversial quarterback in the first round, Johnny Manziel. While many people have been drawing comparisons between the quarterbacks, Mayfield said last night, "I'm not going to try and prove that I'm not Johnny Manziel." I don't get this. I don't know if he's gotten the message that he looks a little bit like Johnny Manziel, and proving that you're not Johnny Manziel would be a positive. I think this kid's attitude isn't right. Last night, it's your first opportunity to join the NFL fraternity. And that's one of the greatest fraternities. In my view, it's the greatest fraternity in sports. He chose to sit at home alone with his family and work on his documentary rather than coming to Dallas, meeting the commissioner, hanging out with your peers that are first-round picks. This is a me guy that's addicted to social media and his brand, similar to Baker Mayfield. I mean, similar to Johnny Manziel.
I'm going to give Baker Mayfield the benefit of the doubt here. I'm more concerned with another first-round quarterback's attitude than I am with Baker Mayfield. I think that there's enough around him. Clearly, I believe that Baker Mayfield was the best, should have been the first pick. That's just how I felt. I think that, with the strong personalities of Hugh Jackson and John Dorsey, when you see John Dorsey,
Egos.
man.
That's the three amiga egos.
But that's okay, because somebody's ego has got to become subservient to somebody else's. And I can promise you, in this case, Baker Mayfield's ego is going to have to ratchet back a little bit, because between Hugh Jackson and John Dorsey, I think that this is the combination that could rein him in. You go back and you look at Johnny Manziel. I don't know Ray Farmer, okay, but he was the GM when Johnny Manziel was brought in, and they could never get him reined in. They could never get him on task. I like this kid's skill set. I like his competitiveness. I like his ability. I like the fact that he can make all the throws. I like the fact that he's a fiery leader. He is a leader. And I think with the right people around him, that he'll be just fine. I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about another guy named Josh.
I tell you what, I couldn't disagree with you more. I'm not sold on this guy, and he's not Johnny Manziel. I mean, Manziel was way faster. I mean, Manziel could get outside the pocket and do some things. This guy, I'm scared that this guy's a system quarterback. He runs from the pocket. No one has more time in college football to throw the ball than he did. And I'm not so sold on him. Now, I know John Dorsey's a good personnel man, and I think he's in charge. The one guy you didn't mention, who's another tough guy, that Todd Haley is a tough guy,
and he could 4 Eagles.
Right. So,
Lord have mercy.
So that could be interesting. But if Baker Mayfield's, the next Brett Favre, man, he went to a great place because Cleveland is a great city for football.
Well, I'm going to say this. When I'm looking at quarterbacks, I always want to know, what's your story? What is it about you that makes you special? Well, number one, this is a 2-time walk-on. That says a lot to me that he can get to the number 1 pick of the draft, being a 2-time walk-on. His leadership skills are something that, you just don't teach. And the fact that he led Oklahoma, whatever system he was running, he did it better than anyone else. There are a lot of quarterbacks that came out of Oklahoma that didn't come out with his success. But going to Cleveland, I think he is one of the top quarterbacks. He's deserving of top 5. I just don't think that Cleveland was the best spot for him. That's my issue. I think he was much more suited for New York as opposed to Cleveland.
Oh, he would have lost his mind if he would have went to New York. Are you kidding
Cleveland's
me?
perfect for him. I really do, because that city loves football, and they have added some serious weapons to that offense.
I didn't even think about the Todd Haley acquisition. I know Todd Haley well. And so you put Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson and John Dorsey, those are 3 of the biggest egos in the history of football. And now you just added a 4th with this kid. And so I could see Haley and Hugh and they love this ego. Oh, it reminds me of me. There's too much of that. There's gonna have to, football's a humbling game. There needs to be room for humility. Todd Haley and Baker Mayfield will have a fist fight several times this season. Now, and I say that in all seriousness, because when Todd Haley was in Kansas City, he clashed with everybody. Everybody.
Listen, if Baker Mayfield wants to play, Todd Haley doesn't mess around. He'll be sitting his behind over there on the bench. So there's a difference. You either fall in line and become, the good soldier you're supposed to be and get on the field and play, or you can sit over there on the bench
until making more money.
Well, that's the reason why I said Cleveland's not a great fit for him, just for all the reasons you stated. Plus the fact that we still don't know what the situation is going to be with your head coach in a year. I mean, because you got a new general manager, and now you're bringing in this, so it's just not a great fit. In New York, at least his personality would have been celebrated. They've been through this before, and it would have made them relevant.
All right, welcome back. Cowherd is off, but we're not short on opinions. Joining me today are Seth Joyner, Rob Ryan, and Steve Clarkson. To another surprise from last night's draft, UCLA quarterback Josh Rosen, who many experts consider the best quarterback in the draft, Rosen fell to number 10, where he was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. We all know the young, confident quarterback has been known to speak his mind, and last night he didn't disappoint.
I was pretty pissed off I fell. 1, 2, and 3 went by, and just kind of went into a blur after that. There were 9 mistakes made ahead of me, and I will make sure over the next decade or so that they will know that they made a mistake.
I'm off Josh Rosen completely. Arrogant, entitled, spoiled, social justice warrior, thinks he's smarter than everybody. 9 NFL teams were all idiots because Josh Rosen says so. 9 guys, his peers that went ahead of him, they're all a mistake because Josh Rosen went number 10. Wrong attitude. I'm off Josh Rosen. I don't get it. Steve, I know you're close to him. I just don't get this kid. Know-it-alls get humbled. Children should be seen and not heard. I'm hearing way too much from this dude.
I'm going to take a sip before I get started here. All the words that you use, they're written down on my notes right here. I cannot believe the audacity of this kid. Listen, 9 mistakes. You left out disrespectful. You gonna disrespect the other 9 guys that went before you because other teams felt like they were better than you or a better fit?
Or they needed a running back instead of a quarterback.
Absolutely. I mean, you just disrespectful, entitled, cocky, selling wolf tickets. Big time selling wolf tickets.
Put a target on his back.
Well, but I mean, that's
Put
in,
a target on
that's
his
in
back.
my notes too, because you keep talking like that and keep running your mouth like that. In my day of football, a quarterback that spoke like that, oh, he's gonna be on IR real quick. Real quick. I cannot believe the entitlement of these young guys today, like the NFL owes you something.
Well, this guy here, I mean, he's different. Like, you know, he models himself after Aaron Rodgers. Well, Aaron Rodgers sat through the whole draft after he was supposed to go number 1 for 24 picks and came out sounding great, happy to be selected, all that because he's a man. This guy, he got his feelings hurt. I get it. You got your feelings hurt. 10 seconds, 10 seconds of satisfaction for a lifetime of problems. This is going to stay with this kid forever. Like, this is just ridiculous.
First of all, I'm going to tell you, I am the president of the Josh Rosen fan club. I love everything that he said. You know what? First of all, he gets criticized for what? He doesn't really want to play the game. He doesn't care about it. Well, that shows me something, that he cares about the game, that he cares about the perception. He wants to win. I know this kid. I've known this kid for years. He is one of the toughest kids. Yeah, this kid knows how. First of all, he played at UCLA. It was understaffed, undermanned, and he won whatever games he won out of there. That was because of him. That Texas A&M game was magical for him. People say, well, how's this guy with 5-6 record and he's claiming to be that he's the best quarterback? I remember a guy that was 5-6 his last year. His name was John Elway. And in my opinion, the greatest quarterback ever to play this game.
Greatest player to ever played.
That's
be
it.
compared to
but I'm going to tell you what. But it's that attitude that you still have to be the best. He has that, and I support him. He will make Arizona must-watch TV. Because if it wasn't for him, I'd be watching reruns of Empire.
There's a difference between flying under the radar, knowing that you're good, and being grateful for the opportunity to prove your naysayers wrong. Listen, I was drafted in the 8th round, the 208th pick in the draft. And every single game I played, my entire career, I played with a huge chip on my shoulder. Because I wanted to prove all 30 teams that they made a mistake 7 different times. Okay? But you know what I did? I kept it in here, and I used it for fuel. But when you start spewing stuff out of your mouth and start selling wolf tickets before you even took a snap in the NFL, listen, this ain't the Pac-12, okay? The Pac-12 don't play no defense. They don't play no defense. The NFL, he gonna see defenses and multiple defenses and disguises and things that he couldn't even dream in his nightmares that he'd see. I can't wait. I can't wait for him to be humbled.
Who stands up in front of everybody on one of the greatest nights of your life? Again, inducted into the greatest sports fraternity in all of sports. And your first thing out of your mouth is to disrespect the 9 peers before you, let alone the teams and the executives, your peers. Saquon Barkley, mistake. Baker Mayfield, mistake. Chubb, mistake. Josh Allen, mistake. Who am I forgetting? Sam Darnold, mistake. Again, why? He's playing to the stereotype of the rich kid who was a tennis player, who picked up football late. He's an individual sport guy. I think he has a competitive fire. I don't think he knows how to channel it the proper way that produces the best results.
He's authentic is what he is. He is who he's always been.
A know-it-all.
Well,
a know-it-all. I can't wait for him to get smacked with the truth.
Well, you and I will be watching TV together, and we'll see who's eating Doritos at the end.
I've been a know-it-all, Steve. It's very humbling when your time comes, and his time is coming. All right, welcome back. Joining me now are NBA analysts Rod Strickland and Dante Jones. Let's talk some hoops. And a decisive night in the NBA playoffs. The Cavs are up 3-2 on the Pacers after that stone-cold buzzer beater from LeBron in Game 5. They hope to close out the series tonight in Indiana. Meanwhile, the Thunder are trying to force a Game 7 down 3-2 to the Jazz. OKC is hoping for another big night from Russell Westbrook and Paul George, who combined for 79 points in Game 5. My take here, guys, is Utah is far more likely to close out OKC than Cleveland is to close out the Pacers. Utah is going to be playing at home. Utah has dominated this series except for the third quarter of Game 5. And so I expect things to return to normal here with Utah handling this business in Game 6. Russell Westbrook had a remarkable second half in their last game. He's not going to duplicate that. And that's what it would take in order for them to beat the Utah at home tonight. Utah more likely to close this out.
I think that last time I was here, we spoke about Billy Donovan having to be able to make an adjustment and find a way to win this series. And I thought it was his responsibility more than Russell Westbrook. However, I think he found a key out. And I think that key is limiting Carmelo's minutes because this is not the series for him. I don't think it is.
The season or the series?
The series for him.
I thought you said the season.
I think along this playoff run,
the
if they were to have a big run, Melo would play a part. I'm not going to let you do that to my guy Melo. But if they were to have a big playoff run, I think there will be a point in time for Melo. I think Melo could find a way to be active, but this is not. They need more athletes on the floor. They need more people that have a defensive impact in this series and let playoff P and Westbrook do what they do on the offensive end. So I think Utah is more to detriment than Cleveland in closing their season out.
I'm with you, Jason. I think Utah has a better chance of closing out the series. I think the numbers show, points per game away, home and away, that's 106 to 99 point differential, +3 to -15. Utah has that atmosphere, that altitude situation, the home crowd, and I just think I think it's going to be tough in Utah. I think Donovan Mitchell, he's a rookie, but he's an experienced guy. He's like, I don't know, he's from somewhere else, and I think he'll lead that team. And I think, Russ Westbrook and Paul George, they have to have great games. They have to duplicate what they did. Otherwise, you have to have some of these peripheral guys do something extra. And I just don't know. I don't see it.
All right, let's flip to the series I'm most concerned about, the Pacers and the Cavaliers tonight. As a Pacer fan, I just don't have a lot of confidence that we can survive another. And again, I think Utah's more likely to close out, but can we survive another blizzard from LeBron James? Because I think one is coming. I don't think he's going to back off. There will be no fall off from LeBron James. It'll be about whether he gets enough help from other players, but also it's going to be about whether we see anything from Victor Oladipo tonight. He's been awful except for one game in this series.
And I think that shot that Bron hit is bigger than just the moment there. I think it gives his team more of more life in the sense of they know that he's ready to play and they get confidence when Bron puts on those performances. And I don't think the Pacers have anything to stop that. Bron is playing at an extreme level right now, and I think he can go to another level. And when it's time to close out series, you see a different animal when it comes to Bron.
I'm going to take the other route. I'm going to go with Oladipo and the Pacers. And I know he struggled 24% shooting the last point in the last 3 games, worst stretch of the season. But I just feel like, he struggled for the last 3 games. He missed that important layup. Well, it was goaltending, but he missed the important layup. And I just see him, I think he's learning to become the man. I think he's never been the man before, and now in Indiana, he has to be the man. And I think he'll step up tonight, and I think the Pacers will win tonight.
There's a process, Rod, and I think this is where Dante may be hitting on, is it's great to be a guy and a star in games that don't matter, and then when you get in games where it does matter and you're totally dependent on, the team's dependent on you, it doesn't look like to me Oladipo can handle that over the course of a series.
Right, I'm with proven commodities out here right now, and I know Bron, and I know that staff over there knows how to close out a series. I'm not sure about the other side in Indiana, and that's why I'm with Cleveland on that side, and I'm with OKC on the other side because they have proven commodities, people who know how to close out series, who've been there before, who've had that set of adversity before, to be able to know how to fight through it. Right now, we have 2 teams on the other end with Utah and Indiana, young stars, young people who are learning, getting that experience, and learning how to close out a series rather than people who have done it before and know what it takes.
Rod, just very quickly, just as a guard, help me understand when Oladipo in that moment, LeBron James is on me one-on-one.
Right.
How come he can't, hold on, this is LeBron James.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
How come he can't make that decision?
Well, I think, first of all, it was in transition, and I think he got to dunk it. He saw LeBron coming. I think anytime I get the ball, I'm in transition. I'm looking to see who's around me. That's the first thing. And if I know somebody's following me, I'm going to the basket. Or I may even slow up just so I can feel his body and then get to the basket. But in that situation, I think your eyes are on the rim and you go dunk the ball.
So that's unfair. You're comparing Victor Oladipo to the man, the master of finishing
We're paying
himself.
him
That's
like
super
he's
unfair.
To the Spurs, who nobody can call boring anymore, there's a new episode in the ongoing standoff between Coach Greg Popovich and Kawhi Leonard, who only played 9 games this season due to injury and whatever the hell else was going on with him. Anyway, a new report says Kawhi is causing yet another headache for Coach Pop. Frank Isola of the New York Daily News reported, quote, "From what I understand, Kawhi wants Popovich to lighten up a little with practice and tweak some things. The Spurs may not want to change their ways, but this is Kawhi Leonard we're talking about." I think I know the tweak that Pop is going to go to. He's going to tweak Kawhi's zip code.
which is absolutely right.
And I honestly, and again, I've been hard on Greg Popovich all year. I think he's a bully. I think he's a gym coach that thinks he's some kind of political science major. But as a coach, I'm not questioning him X's and O's wise and his philosophy and all the success they had here. Frank Isola, if this isn't accurate, he's done Kawhi a disservice, because I was someone that's like 100% on Kawhi's side. But when you start Kawhi Leonard now, he's going to be the guy that tells Greg Popovich to tweak the system that has produced all that consistent success, and anybody that comes there, those who stay will be champions. They're like Michigan of the NBA. This is crazy for Kawhi to be talking about, for Pop to tweak anything.
If this is correct, and I say if, because we really don't know what's going on between that relationship between two parties, then Kawhi's out of there, because they have continued and a proven track record of success. Their way is the right way. And they're not going to let one person, one star come in and disrupt what they have. And that's 21 years of success. And I don't think it's worth it to be able to let a star dictate how we go. They dictate the tempo of the team and the tempo of the organization and how they do things collectively around there. And it's unfair, but it is what it is, and it's a proven commodity.
Yeah, no, just like you said, a proven commodity, and Pop is proven. He's a military man. You know, he does things his way. Everybody respects him. But then now you have the star. Kawhi Leonard is a star. So I think you do have a conversation, and you know, if you can come, if minds can meet, you never know. But I'm like you. I think the writing's on the wall. I think Kawhi would be gone.
Shouldn't someone tap Kawhi on the shoulder? And again, I love Kawhi Leonard, but this dude played at San Diego State, and this isn't a 5-star Duke, Kentucky. You know, I came out of the crib ready to play in the NBA. This is a guy that showed some promise at San Diego State. San Antonio recognized it, hoodwinked my Pacers out of him, and then the system and Popovich's development turned Kawhi Leonard into this superstar. There should, in my opinion, be a little more gratitude. I do want to Frank Isola, I think, is a very credible NBA reporter. I'm not taking a shot at him. But until I hear a name attached to, you know, Kawhi actually said these things, or Kawhi's agent, or, you know, people close to Kawhi could be misconstruing what he really wants. And again, I'm not the biggest Popovich fan, but they should tweak the zip code for Kawhi before they tweak anything there.
Definitely, because you have two different perspectives. San Antonio saying, listen, we made you into the star that you are today, and you should keep going along with what's made you successful. Then you have Kawhi who's saying, you know what, I've come into my own, I've become one of the best top 3 players in the NBA, and I deserve some respect. So they're gonna have to either find a way to come and meet, which I don't think is gonna happen because San Antonio is San Antonio, or just find a different place for him and they create another star.
Yeah, I think, again, San Antonio has proven they have a style, they have a system. They've proven they even know how to pick players in the draft. So they know talent, they know what they want. And I think it's just going to, again, it's going to be a matter of a conversation, and Kawhi might be leaving, and Boston Celtics might be looking for somebody.
Look, we went on a narrative where I think a lot of people were like, hey, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, they're out of line calling Kawhi out. And I was on Kawhi's side, like, these guys are out of line. I think this report kind of changes the perception and starts a narrative that will be anti-Kawhi, and I think you may see other players around the league say, man, this dude's feeling himself in a way that's a bit inappropriate. You done sat out the entire season with an injury that other guys have played with and come back sooner. He may have changed the narrative on himself here.
I'm with protecting the bag at all points in times and protecting yourself over the organization with sitting out if you don't feel that you're ready to play, because Isaiah Thomas has shown us that that is not the route to go, because they will always replace you and move you when it's convenient for them. So him sitting out shouldn't be a determining factor on how we feel about Kawhi as a player. However, if he wants to change an organization, if he's not happy, then he should ask to be moved and somewhere where I think I can be happy and I can function in a proper demand.
Go the Kyrie route. Man up, I want to get out of here.
Which is fair and which can be respectable.
Yeah, but I'm uncomfortable with teammates talking about the other teammates, especially
About
like
their
you
money
said,
and
protecting
health.
the bag,
Yeah.
right? So I don't. That said a lot to me. That said a lot about where Kawhi is at with the team. To have Mano and Tony Parker to speak up like that, there's some friction there. There's some tension there, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, time for last call. And what has become a tradition to start every NFL draft, the ceremonial booing of Commissioner Roger Goodell. This year, the commission came out flanked by several hometown hero Cowboys, but even that wasn't enough to keep the Dallas crowd from booing him. Seth, is this a big deal, Roger Goodell getting booed?
I don't think so. I think it's just really kind of become, a draft ritual. It started, 1 year, and the next thing you know, every single year it happens. In Philadelphia last year, it happened. He kind of just smiles about it and goes along with it, but I don't see it as a big deal.
It used to happen to David Stern, too, in the NBA. I think it was in 2013. Stern cracked some joke about how that's actually it's a sign of affection, the boos. And so I don't think it's a big deal, and I kind of expected it in Dallas, but hearing all those boos with Troy Aikman, Jason Witten, and Roger Staubach on the stage, that kind of shocked me. All right, another big story in Dallas today. Tight end Jason Witten reportedly told Cowboys owner Jerry Jones that he will retire after 15 seasons with the team, presumably to join ESPN's Monday Night Football broadcast crew. Dak Prescott reacted to the news by saying, quote, "I'm just as surprised as everyone." All right, Seth, no Des Bryant, and now possibly no Jason Witten. Should Dak Prescott be concerned?
Change comes fast. I don't think so. I think that it's time. Jason Witten's been playing for 15 years. He's an 11-time Pro Bowler. And at the end of the day, he's not what he used to be. I mean, as a
security blanket, he's not what he used to be.
Listen, as a defender, you know what he's going to run. He's going to run an in route, an out route, and a seam route, okay? I don't understand how he catches balls, the way he catches balls, because that's all that he can run. They'll sprinkle in a 7 route every once in a while, but that's what he's going to run. And Jerry is just kind of, because I saw an article earlier where Jerry was talking about, well, we don't know whether he's actually, going to retire or not. Jerry's now positioning himself to try to get one of those better tight ends.
In the draft, got you.
Listen, before we go, man, that gray, kind of like your jacket, happy birthday, man. Don't kill him, because the other ones will come to the funeral.